What's up, guys? How's everyone doing? Yeah, hanging in there. Happy Sunday. Got a big week ahead of us. Oop, shit. What did I just do? That was weird. I'm worried that the same people who killed Harambe are the ones who killed Peanut, and now we're on an even worse timeline. Hmm. Are you talking about the squirrel? I don't think so. The squirrel's handler wore shoes in the house. Multiple pairs. Fuck that. Hmm. Given they euthanized all the recovered pets, there was a rabies risk. Well, yeah, he was keeping wildlife as a as pets. I mean, honestly, like shouldn't he go to jail for that? Right? I mean, you can't just go pluck animals. Fuck off, Bob. Tiger King did go to jail. Also, it's New York, not fucking whatever bumfuck shithole Tiger King lived in, where you're allowed to keep tigers. Yeah, true. Not for tigers. Are we politicizing the death of Bob's commenting, so I'm going to assume that we were politicizing the death of a fucking squirrel. With the election right around the corner, there's no other possible answer. Who's on what side? I didn't say you were politicizing it, C-Mill. I'm saying it's definitely being politicized. They're using the scroll death to reinforce our bear bias for this new worst timeline. I see. Yeah, you can't just keep a bunch of rabies carrying animals in your home. Squirrel died? That's news. I'm glad I'm in Costa Rica. Yeah, you've really escaped the worst of it. I hate this country. It's really turning into just a shithole. Oh no, my favorite Instagram squirrel has been euthanized. What the fuck? The authorities should have been careful not to get bitten. I blame the education system. What education system? Did you guys see that crazy shit with the teacher in California who was teaching trigonometry, doing like a Native American like war dance? That was that was something. Well, not actually a Native American war dance, which may have been even a bigger problem. No, they were not Native American. Almost like teachers should be able to be fired. Okay, I'm done. Bear me up. Yeah, we should probably. I mean, she did get fired, as a matter of fact. It was a wildly culturally insensitive move. Um, she also had mental illness and was off her meds. It's getting weird now. It's not going to get more normal. Alternatively, we could just pay people more to be teachers, and then maybe we wouldn't just get like all the C master students. Maybe we get like some of the B master students, like the ones that didn't do like a capstone project but actually wrote a thesis. Now remember, Greg, people YOLO all their money into puts if we get too bearish here. Dude, they're gonna do that anyway. We had like 2 days of red candles. If they're not already fully YOLO'd into puts. What do you think JPow's likely to do? Likely to return to doing nothing. I think there's a possibility that they do nothing, but he is a moron. Which could be problematic. Deposits next paycheck. I have no idea what to think about this week. I think I'm just gonna like trade the intraday price action this week. I don't even want to play this week. It's too much shit going on. You've got the election right into FOMC. It's gonna be fucking volatile as hell. That's cute. Grick thinks he can afford more than 30 minutes of theta. Wouldn't a cut cause more risk to the carry? Yeah, it would increase the. It would also. I mean, I think more importantly, and we're gonna talk about this when Dork and Jay first get on. It's gonna increase the cost to carry on the long end. I think short paper is under, or well, I think money markets are underexposed to the repo, and I don't think they have sufficient liquidity to meet like 2A7 requirements, which means if risk on the long end increases, they're going to be overexposed and they could have difficulty finding a sufficient liquidity in the short end. And if that happens, the buck can break because repo's nosediving and it's not the end of the month. It's not the end of the quarter. It's not some rebalancing thing, right? And rates at the long end are skyrocketing. They're up quite a bit over the last couple of weeks. Wild how intraday trading, what's supposed to be the most dangerous form of trading, is currently one of the safest strategies. Well, that's because you don't have the risk of, waking up to your position being $100 out of the money, right? You're either going to take max loss or you're going to cut before the overnight session, and who the fuck knows what's going to happen in the overnight sessions this week. Straddles are still pretty fun. Straddles have been, overpriced, but very good recently. We've had a lot of early market, like early morning and pre market moves that have been sufficient. And they've been largely mean reverting. So I think most of this last week I was able to like get out of one leg of the straddle, um, like right around open, and then close the other leg like an hour or two later at about break even, which is fantastic. Sometimes a little bit of a loss, sometimes a little better than that, but for the most part, right around break even, minus the cost to carry overnight. But if you're making 80% on one side of the straddle and losing 3% on the other in order to carry the hedge, it's not too fucking bad. Appreciate the insight. It sounds like there's a lot of risk either which way. I'm looking more toward I'm looking forward to more discussion on it without Dork and Fresh before they come in and make me bearish or overly bearish. That's fair. It's gonna happen. There's some bearish shit going on, but I mean, from a macro sense, right? With the SPX, we're more concerned with positioning, and I mean, we're not in a position right now that's very bullish, but that can turn around quickly because there's a lot of delta in the money, which means that offers the potential for those positions to get squeezed. Meanwhile, Buffett's sitting on 1/3 of a trillion in cash. Yep, yes he is. The man is as old as Methuselah, but I feel like he's still making the right decisions here. I am also sitting on cash, except nowhere near 1.3 trillion. Um, yeah. If you look at CEG again, I'm having to talk to myself about not getting puts before the election. Hmm. Is that just not, is that not loading? The fuck is that? Hold on. Am I gonna have to restart TradingView? Son of a bitch. Hold on. That worked. That doesn't. Uh, why do you want to short it before the election? Do you think yields will turn around? I don't hate it. It's kind of a weird choice, but I guess. I think I went early and missed out on a lot of alpha. On what? Sorry for breaking your trading view. No, it's fine. It's working. Really only if it got one more lower high. Just because when it got up here, it kept rejecting off of Gamma Max. Oh, so this is just like a positioning play. I would look into the liquidity of the options chain on this. I have a feeling that it's not that robust. It might be at Gamma Max, but I can't imagine there's a ton of OI on it. Usually, usually these kind of stocks just don't have that much options interest. You know, it's actually not that bad. It's pretty liquid for a fucking utility company. Huh. Alright. Yeah, it got rejected off of Gamma Max like a while ago. But Friday's price action pushed it below, I think below 58.10. Yeah, it closed below Gamma Neutral on Friday. Uh, to the downside, it doesn't look too bad. There's Gamma's pretty flat down to like 250, which and then there's some support. Not not a crazy move, but yeah, it could slide. Might get some momentum behind it too. When will Gamma Strike be open to the public? Will data, GNGM, DN plus strike data only be on major indexes or all tickers? All tickers. Live data will only be on indexes for now. As far as it being open to the public, we're just getting the pipelines for live data finished currently. So we have to push that out to the beta, and then we have to do testing and get the everything else like production ready, which it is currently not. So, um, hopefully soon. I think we'd like to see it, before out before the new year, but I don't know if that's timeline's going to be possible yet or not. There's still quite a lot of work that needs to be done, but it's getting there. It's just taking. I mean, we don't have. I blame Doric. We just don't have a lot of people. I mean, we have More importantly, we don't have a lot of people specifically where we need them, which is, you know, it's difficult. Not to mention wiring up options feeds from Opera is not is not a simple task by any means. Because not only do we have to pull in all the data, we have to then run calculations for our models on all of that data. And it's a huge amount of data. I mean, even just SPX, you're talking about thousands of trades a minute. Carvana puts when? I mean, their cash flows and payment in kind are going till mid 2025. So you can assume they can artificially inflate their margins for about another 6 months or so before they have to start making cash payments against their debt. We're talking about JFresh's swimming pool. Not yet. Although Friday Carvana did dump back to Gamma Max, which is maybe slightly interesting. Some of the delta fell off. I mean, it could pull back in the near term a decent amount. I think if it were to slip the 220 support, it could fall back to like 200. But fundamentally, nothing's really going to change on it for some time. You go over AQN's support levels. Does it really have any support levels down here? I mean, these are like new lows. These are because this is because rates are going up. Um, it could continue to just dive as rates climb. But if it's something you want to be long on over the next like 3 to 5 years, it could be an opportunity for much cheaper prices. But there's no support here. Yeah. They're not going bankrupt or anything. So, I mean that's I don't think that's a big concern. They're not going, at least nothing would indicate they're going out of business or anything like that. They have plenty of money. They have a dividend that at worst they could cut. They just picked up like $1 billion in cash. So a lot of what's, I mean, this is affecting all utilities pretty equally, but a lot of what's affecting utilities is rates climbing and the concern that they'll have to refinance debt at these higher rates. But hopefully AQN has enough cash on hand now without having to get rid of their water treatment business, because I would like them not to get rid of that. I think it will help their multiple in the future. But if they had to, they could, and they could pay down a significant portion of their current debt. I have no idea what's going on with the MU, but no, that's futures. That's why. Looks like shit. Are you still in the MU play? That was, it already did its thing. Been selling calls on it. Oh, okay. Interesting. Worth it? Maybe. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look good. I can look at the options chain. Mm, it's like a pretty easy path back to 95. A little bit of support at like 10, 102-ish. If it got a push back to the upside, it could run pretty hard. There's still a lot of out of the money interest on it. It'd have to get back towards like retest those sold calls at 110. Maybe as those sold calls get closer to expiry, it has some upside potential. I know a bunch of them fall off on OPEX, and then the rest of them are like December, Jan OPEX. But maybe enough of the sold call position falls off towards OPEX this month that it gets a bounce. High or low here would be somewhat bullish in the longer time frames. So I mean, yeah, if you're selling calls, look for a low. Be cautious of that if support's formed. Up and down, how SLB leaps. I don't know when you entered them. Were you just Nope, that's the wrong how. Yeah, it really depends on where you entered them. I mean, I know we were talking about picking up leaps on Hal back here, but you didn't close them when oil dropped. It's kind of the same with SLB. I don't think they're almost identical in the way they trade. If oil spikes again, I mean, Hal and SLB will probably benefit if it can keep prices up higher. I know there's some talk about Israel retaliating against any further strikes from Iran by striking their oil infrastructure, not just military infrastructure. And obviously that would have a marked effect. That's Hal at 31. SLB at 44. I guess you bought the top. Um, hmm. Yeah, I guess you could do PMCCs. That's an option. You're kind of far out of the money. Did you buy the leaps at those prices, or are those the strikes? Oh, okay, those are the strikes. That's not so bad. Yeah, you could. I don't think you're going to get a lot of premium. Is the concern there? You may need to roll your leaps down to pick up better premium on them. Like the SLB. Let's see. Hold on. So like SLB, you have 44 leaps. Are those Jan 25 or 26? We could kind of take a look at this and see what we could do to salvage it. Or maybe highlight some options for you. Alright. So your long calls. SLB. You're long the 44 strike. And what expiration? Sorry, I bought deep in the money at those prices. What expiration? What? So what? Just tell me the contracts you have on SLB, and tell me what your cost basis on it is. March 25 Cs for 1921. So March 21 25s, and for 1921. So 39. So if you were to sell, let's see, 2. December 20. So the December 20s for 42 cents and 45. You can sell the 40 for $1.80 each. If this falls back enough to pull that off, we got at 45. The 45 doesn't seem too bad, at least if price moves back up, and you get stuck in the sold calls, you'll still make a slight profit above 43. So that might be one way to offset it. Yeah, the 4250 is just not enough credit. So we can do something similar with Hal. Yeah, Hal's options chain might be a little bit more liquid. Um, but yeah, maybe PMCCs. If price continues to fall, roll them down, right? So like if price slips back, you could roll them down to like 40, right? And pick up more premium but keep the same expiration. And that might be an option as price moves lower till it finds some support. But with the geopolitical risk, I mean, I'd probably want to be a little further out of the money and not right at spot. Because, I mean, over the next month or so, there's probably a very good chance that crude could run really, really hard. Maybe even just if Trump is elected. And since you have some time, I mean, not a ton, but you have, 138 days to expiry, you've still got about, I don't know, 48 days that you can sell on it before they start to price down a lot harder. Yeah, no problem. So yeah, that might work. Did I miss shiny boing boing? Oh god, not this shit again, dork. So we're post tech earnings quite a bit. Microsoft has a death cross, which is kind of interesting, but also not fucking loading. I forgot the daily. We do like the MA. Almost a death cross. No, no, it's a death cross. That might not be a good sign. Did you talk about JPM? No? What do you want to talk about? Down almost 1% over the last week. Rates are continuing to rise. It's holding up a bit stronger than the rest of the sector, but I'm also short Wells. But I think finance can continue to get hit pretty hard, especially if the Fed doesn't cut this Wednesday, which is kind of what I'm waiting for. But they did take a bit of a hit with the jobs data. The heat map looks super bullish. Well, this is just the last week performance. If we look at the last month performance, it's still pretty fucking good. With the exception of Microsoft, Apple, Lilly, UNH, ExxonMobil, P&G. Well, all of the sector leaders. But Amazon, Nvidia's up 16%. So just all of the losses here. So now NVIDIA can take down all of the indexes with Dow. Yeah, actually, NVIDIA moving into Dow is kind of interesting, right? Because NVIDIA doesn't have a high share price. Its price per share is relatively low given its market cap. So obviously, like being added to Dow exposed ETFs, I mean, will ensure that NVIDIA has more impact across all three indexes. But because Dow's not market cap weighted, um, the weight, like the importance of Nvidia's market cap is going to be scaled back pretty dramatically, and that could leave it exposed to more sell pressure than it would have been had it only remained in market cap weighted indexes. Did you have a PT for PAX in the long term? I think I did. I know I have a cutoff for. I have a cutoff for drip at $16, so I'm gonna buy it above there. Um, but I still expect that over time they can return to a PE more in line with their peers of about 20x. They've been spending quite a lot of money, and the insane rally on the dollar is obviously not helping out for like Latin American markets much, right? But I still have drip on. I bought not that long ago. Let me see where my last buy was. I picked up some shares at 11, fairly recently. This was back on 10/14. Picked up some shares at 11. It's been turning around a little bit since then. Prior to that, I bought also at 11. So I bought twice at 11. Um, Getting close to my goal of 15K shares, but got another 5,000 I need to pick up. I don't know how much I'm getting off of drip on this next one. 12,000 shares, average price is 11.27. So I get $11,000 reinvested. Let's see, it's 12. So I get about 900 something shares on the next dividend, depending on the price. Not too bad. Yeah, maybe I don't need to buy anymore now. I just let it drip and accumulate the rest of what I was looking to get. But it seems to be picking up a little bit of accumulation here. I mean, emerging markets are going to look attractive if U.S. yields keep rising. What does short paper mean? Short-term debt instruments, 2 years or less. Corporate debt, government debt, all of it. A lot of compelling events could be waiting for the election to get in the rear view. Yuta Netanyahu don't want to be viewed as skewing the election either way. What, the U.S. election? I don't think either of them. I mean, Netanyahu is definitely gonna want to skew the election a way that is more favorable than him, and he definitely doesn't want to look like he's not trying. I don't think he gives a shit. Yuta, I mean, I don't even think he has the power to skew the U.S. election in any significant way. The problem in Japan is they don't have a cohesive majority party. So it's a country that's been under one party rule for the better part of the last like 3 decades, and now they don't have a majority rule in parliament. So Japan's not going to do shit until there's some sort of cohesion in their government, which is a big problem. But um, it can just remain a problem. So I don't think either way those two things are a factor. Oh, anyway, back to packs. Yeah, to answer your question, I mean, I would turn drip off around 16. I would consider a move above 16 profitable, but I think over time, um, they can gain quite a lot, quite a substantial amount of value. They picked up all of Credit Suisse's like Brazilian and Brazilian real estate portfolio. They've been investing a shitload of money into big infrastructure projects that have pretty substantial payouts over the next like 4 to 5 years. I think their currency will appreciate against the dollar once the dollar falls into decline, which also helps them out substantially. So, I mean, I think over time they could return to a not only like all-time high prices, but exceed that. Um, I actually like their investment strategy, and they're getting just tons of exposure on the cheap. So if LatAm markets do well over the next 5 to 10 years, which I expect they would, I think PAX would be a big beneficiary of that. Especially with less U.S. reliance on China, we're gonna move a lot of manufacturing to probably India and Brazil and Mexico. We've already moved a lot to Mexico. No one cares about bricks, Bob. Did you say India? Yeah, but infrastructure wise, they have much bigger problems than Latin America. Latin America had previously very strong economies. I mean, there was a point where Argentina was like one of the richest countries in the world, right? So the from an infrastructure standpoint, many of them are already like it's decayed, but the infrastructure there is there to rebuild. India just never had the infrastructure. The environment is not conducive to building infrastructure, which makes getting all of that rolled out a much longer project. HQ in the Cayman Islands, yeah. Any other questions about stuff? Not a lot of haven't covered much here, I feel like. All right, Middle Western consumer sentiment rep. What do you got? I just told you what short paper is. Short paper is short term debt instruments under 2 years in duration. What's going to happen this week? No one fucking knows. If I had to guess purely based on positioning, things look pretty bearish. But there's a lot of delta in the money. The chance to squeeze back to the upside is ever present. We're at a major support here. Well, minor. a big minor support. Um, we could fall further. FOMC pushed to Thursday. Yes, it is. They didn't add right after I asked the question. Oh, okay. Also, what alerted you to someone backing out of short paper? Because yields at the long end are continuing up. Yields at the short end started to pull back. And we see, leverage being maintained in the long end of the carry, and the short end of the carry leverage is falling off. And we have yields at the short end falling while yields at the long end rise, and they're falling. The yields at the short end are falling pretty rapidly, which kind of looks like either someone's forced to buy the short end, or someone's getting squeezed out of being short on the short end. And if the cost to carry on the long end is going up, one would presume that the short end is being shorted to cover that cost to carry. But I kind of talked to you guys about this like a month or so ago, shortly after I wrote that tweet about it. Um, the risk there is that these institutions can find themselves short on the short end of the yield curve, but the yield from being short there is not sufficient to cover the cost to carry in the long end, and they essentially squeeze themselves out of both, and it creates a liquidity crunch. So they're margin called on the long end to cover the short end short, which is devastating. If it occurs, it's happened before. It happened in 2008. It's not unheard of. And usually, money market funds are not overexposed to a liquidity crunch like that because they keep a sufficient balance of uh, their money in, overnight repo instruments, which helps provide liquidity that would offset that cost to carry. However, they're not right. There's not money, sufficient amounts of money being put into repo, and there should be. Right, there should be money going into repo. The repo rate is effectively higher than the rate that is being paid out on the 4 week to 52 week bills, right? So it would make sense for them to put their money in the higher yielding instrument, but they can't because they're overexposed to all this short term debt that Yellen's been selling. Or the housewives of Japan are panic selling dollars. I mean, the housewives of Japan, Mrs. Watanabe, if you will, are generally long currencies, not treasuries. So they're usually taking their what would be their excess savings in yen and using it to buy foreign currencies, and when the yen declines against those currencies, they cash out. Not necessarily one and the same, right? I mean, there isn't a one-to-one correlation between the dollar and U.S. short-term yields. There's a high correlation, but it's definitely not one to one, and really not one to one right now, right? I mean, they're both just rocketing as fast as they feasibly can. Also, poopy pants, P-fix, right, man? How sick is that shit? You're welcome. You can sing my praises anytime you want. I'd like it to go back to 100. Up 35% since the Fed cut. The compounding only gets stronger. I told my dad about it. About 100K sub 40. Nice. Pumping your inheritance. Yeah, it's kind of kicking ass. Who doesn't like a good Nepo step up in basis? I'm surprised money market account managers aren't slinging zero DTEs. It's kind of outside their scope. That doesn't mean that the leverage provided by money market funds isn't being utilized by the banks that control those funds. When the train stop on yields, though, do you think? Poopy, it might not. Do you still think Humana is a decent buy? I got kind of scared away by the talks of a merger. I don't want to be long the wrong fucking stock if they announce some kind of merger deal. But generally speaking, yeah, there's like a risk off benefit to UNH or Humana. I might just do like UNH instead. So like when you start to see like crypto leverage wind down and leverage fall off of the S&P and people start risking that shit off, they tend to go like long the health sector. And usually cyclically like Humana and UNH benefit from that, but I think I might want to stay away from Humana just because of the merger talks. I don't want to get fucking rug pulled overnight. Although it's still tempting because the price is extraordinarily low. I think the last time we longed it went from like 300 to like 405. I don't know if I'd have as high a target this time, but they continue to beat earnings despite the guidance they lowered at the beginning of the year that tanked their share price. But they are beating earnings that are guided lower, so hand in hand, I suppose. There was already a fairly decent dip by following like the dividend. And then earnings beat. I think some interest is picking up on the chain a little bit. Humana may dump on Dems winning. That's possible. Yeah. I mean, I'm just worried about I'm more worried about the merger than I am about the election. If it's a share offering merger, that could be really bullish for Humana though. If Dems win, that won't go through either. It could. I mean, it's not like the Dems have acted in a responsible way in blocking monopolies from forming. Neither party does because they don't give a shit about us and they're completely influenced by bribes. And all the bribes come from the same place. And so the outcome of either party getting elected, as far as corporate policy is concerned, is the same. It's not bribes. Go fuck yourself, Bob. It's speaking fees. It's bribes. Let's just call them what they are. They're bribes. They're corporate bribes. Yeah, lobbying. They blocked mergers on purses, man, because women need purses was the reasoning. No, the reasoning was whoever their competitor was paid money to have that blocked. Make everyone trade on the open market. Make them live in their own slippage. That'd be nice. You want Kenny to be a trillionaire? Do you have a favorite 2 to 3 year out long play? I'm pretty happy with my oil positioning, especially as geopolitical tensions rise. I'm pretty happy with my utilities stuff. It's all been performing pretty well for the most part. I mean, telecoms have done really well over the first part of this year. And they're getting hit a little bit by rates right now, but I feel like that'll improve. I have some emerging market investments that I'm pretty fond of. Those have not yet seen improvement, but I think they will. I cashed out my QQQ at 500 because I didn't want to hold it higher than that, and I might start bleeding some of my cash back into maybe the 20-year again. I did pretty well on that last time, but I'd really like to see rates move just a bit higher before I do that. And I think there's a strong chance the Fed doesn't cut it this meeting, and if they don't, I think rates could move substantially higher. I mean, even if they do, rates might move substantially higher. And so if I can get the 20-year above 5%, that's probably where I'll be sticking a bunch of money in the like medium term. I'm also currently short the 20-year via a few instruments, and that's been going pretty well. You think an oil spike would last long? It seems like oil short on a big pump has better risk return. Yeah, but if the US falls into a recession, capital flows into the expansion of drilling in the Permian Basin are going to decline, right? And the value of the current assets is going to increase. If I were an oil man, I might be speculating on drilling rights, especially developed drilling rights. But I'm not. Ah, I see, I see. Oh, yeah. I mean, if the geopolitical conflict keeps getting worse, right, and Israel strikes Iranian production facilities, BRICS is gonna, well, OPEC, I should say, is going to triple down on their cuts, right? I mean, right now, all we really have is we have a battle between the U.S. deficit spending in order to produce more oil than the rest of the world, right? And the rest of the world refusing to refill our SPR on the cheap. So if oil declined, we would refill the SPR and probably cut off the deficit spend into drilling, right? If it declines sufficiently. But it hasn't because Saudi Arabian cuts and Russian cuts and everybody's cut, right? And for now, they can just trade that oil amongst each other between India and China, where the demand is sufficient to keep them from ending up with an oversupply, right? I mean, this wasn't a problem that, we had in the past. We could always kind of bully Saudi Arabia into, you know, overstocking their oil reserves, and then they had to sell at market much cheaper. But now they're able to shuttle off some of those some of that excess supply, which means that they can play the game for longer. But China doesn't have demand. Yes, they do. They're just not reporting the extent of their demand because they don't want us to know that they're getting all their oil from the Russians. But they do, and they are. They are. They share a border, right? DKL. Yeah. So, I mean, why? Okay, sure, but why not just Hal or Schlumberger? Slightly better balance sheet and dividend here, I guess, but the payout ratio is way worse. Yeah, so I mean, you buy into this and they probably cut the divvy, right? Either way, whether they hit some like more profitability or not, like that dividend's probably gonna get cut. Some decent inside buys. Interesting. And maybe they don't intend to cut the dividend. I'd have to dig into it more. Cash flows are improving pretty quickly. Not back to 2020, 2021 levels, but not bad. They have a pretty significant debt burden. I'm assuming it's not very current, though. No, it's not. I guess management's thinking they can leverage their long-term debt and continue to improve cash flows. Yeah, I think it makes sense that there's some insider buys, I guess. Maybe they won't cut the dividend. I mean, if they can get their cash flows back to where they were a couple years ago, their payout ratio won't be so extreme. It could have maybe a slight edge on Schlumberger, but I'm not sure it would outperform Hal. Just because of market share, right? Well, the debt doesn't appear to be short term, at least. So, I mean, that's one advantage. Or a slight one, but an advantage. What's up, Dork? Oh, wait.
What up?
Oh, there you are.
Sorry, my microphone was muted.
My microphone's muted?
My microphone was muted.
Oh, shit.
I have my old people moment.
Where the fuck is JFresh?
I don't know.
Wow. I knew he was sick Friday, right? Like he couldn't speak.
He was coming down with some sort of head cold thing. So maybe he just doesn't feel like doing
it. Maybe. Yeah, I've been getting something like a little cold the last couple of days. It's been knocking me out in the mornings.
I woke up at 2:30 a.m. this morning from an allergy attack, and so I was just up.
Nice.
Yeah, it was great.
Is there something about being able to do high-level math and having just a terrible immune system?
I think it has more to do with like your cognitive facilities, right? If you're all there cognitively, then you're way more likely to have allergies or whatever.
Strange. I wonder if anybody's ever looked into that.
I don't know. I think it's directly proportional to how much grass we touch.
Maybe. You know, I've been trying to touch more grass lately, And that just means I'm getting more colds more frequently.
And you're having allergic fits more often.
Yeah, actually.
uh,
How was your weekend?
Pretty good. Just chilled out for the most part. Tried to relax. You know, the things you do on weekends, right? And then try not to count down till the end of the weekend.
I went to one of my friends who I hadn't seen in a long time recently got engaged, and I went to meet up with him in Rhode Island, and I somehow got tricked into going to a park full of pumpkins
Oh
and
no.
consuming tepid beer.
Nice.
Dinner wasn't bad. I'll say that much. Dinner was okay, but the rest of it was terrible.
I mean,
And I had to wake up this morning at 6 a.m. to get back to the city in time to do this.
okay, that part sucks.
Yeah, that's it. I did get to stay in like a crazy mansion though, which was
That's cool.
awesome. Yeah. And I went swimming in their pool.
You know what, Jason Bowers? I woke up around 2:30. I don't know which 2:30 I woke up at.
This is the new one.
I
Wait,
was
wait,
very
doesn't
thrown
doesn't
out. But
Nevada do the thing that Arizona does where they're like, "Oh, we're not part of your time change."
no, we have daylight savings.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
I just want to say this publicly. Fuck Arizona. Who the fuck do they think they are? Not
Whoa,
changing their
whoa, whoa.
time. Yeah, not changing their
Daylight
time.
daylight savings is directly responsible for people dying.
So, it's awesome.
Why? Just because it's freedom time?
Yeah.
Ugh,
This
I
is
hate
my
having to
this
put
is my
EST in my international emails.
this is my highest performance part of the year cuz I get an extra hour of sleep.
No, you don't. You still go to bed at the same time.
Lies.
Oh. Yeah, no, my weekend was pretty uneventful. Just kind of sat around.
That sucks.
No, it's fine. I honestly don't mind a low key weekend.
Oh yeah. Did
It's
you
great.
get did you make any progress on the yurt?
Yeah. So I did dig the latrine pit and gave
Nice.
it a test run. So
I'll send you
next step is
those
build
I'll
the
send you
enclosure.
those all natural raw sponges for the poop sticks.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good. Good stuff. Yeah. And I figured out a better way to save money on my energy bill for the yurt. And I
Oh,
was thinking, so get this.
does it have an energy bill?
Well, I mean, yeah, remember the extension cord idea, right? And
Oh,
then
okay. Yeah.
but I was thinking maybe instead of that, I get a stationary bike, hook it up to some sort of, power converter, and then just have people exercise for their power.
You should do hot yoga and use the sweat pouring through the floorboards to turn a hydroelectric generator.
Ooh, maybe I'll do both.
Yeah. You should
Yeah,
just host hot like local hot yoga classes.
perfect.
I mean, you look good in a bandana.
I do. A bandana and a banana hammock.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially doing hot yoga in
You'll
that.
have
It
you'll
looks pretty
have
great.
everyone's wife in your neighborhood there every day doing hot yoga with you.
That's some utkatasana I'd like to enjoy. Sorry, Jim. Sometimes I forget that there's actually women watching this stream and I feel terrible. Uh,
Goop, I just joined. Can you moan for us commensurate to the amount of bearishness going into tomorrow? The deeper the moan, the more the bear. Love you, Bay. Hmm. I don't know how I feel about this. Do I moan over bearishness?
well, here's what I'm thinking. In terms of a moan,
Yeah.
Uh,
That's very high pitched.
about like that. That's what I expect in terms of bearishness.
Interesting.
It's so, and I do mean that to mean, especially with the whole deepness of the voice.
Yeah.
Uh, we're seeing stuff happen, but it's not like you got to stop thinking of things like MOAS. This doesn't mean crash tomorrow. We're seeing it just means things are getting weird.
Yeah. And things are just gonna get weirder because of the election. I don't even want to play anything this week. I just want to stay away from everything until we have a future president and there's a little bit more certainty. And certainty is always bullish.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, just like I mean,
So maybe we
long
just sell
gamma seems
off
nice.
until someone's elected, and then we just reverse it all, and then we can crash when we realize that the economic policies of both parties are insufficient.
And unsustainable. Yes, I mean, I have no clue. I think that gamma looks nice here though with what's happening, but like really long dated gamma,
Hmm.
so it's really
Harder,
boring.
Daddy.
Exactly. Yes,
No.
that's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, just long dated shit where like you can play sort of a little bit of the flattening of the gamma curve, right? If things do get gnarly. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I'm
it's
just
just
gonna
weird.
I'm just gonna overpay for straddles every night,
That's okay. All right.
and the market's gonna
All right.
trade flat.
I mean, yeah. It's gonna print once and unprint three times. It's gonna be great.
Our
I don't know.
our MACD says down.
Oh,
Our
the fancy distribution.
our linearly regressed MACD says down.
Ah, sorry. Our RSI says down.
Damn. Wait,
Well,
how's their RSI on SPX? There's no volume. Are
you
you using the
see,
CFD? Gross. Stop looking at the SPX CFD.
I don't know.
It's got
I'm
weird
just trying to
opening
find new and creative
spreads.
ways to make fun of your distribution. That's all.
Alright.
Oh yeah, it was an interesting breakdown. I mean, I was almost spot on at the end of Thursday.
You were close, yeah. Me and you, I think me and you were like even. We're like in between. You might be a little closer.
I don't know.
Hold on,
I'm just
let,
remembering that day. Like,
let me measure.
yeah, we're gonna have to
We're gonna have
make
to
sure
put.
you account for the yaw, the girth.
I am 62 points off. You are 52 points off.
Woo!
I will say I was more accurate in the beginning of the week.
you
But
you always with the qualifiers, Dirk. I mean, come on.
all right, all right. You. I mean, you have it. It's your win is uncontested.
Yeah, I had a couple resistance lines I had drawn like just arbitrarily. I think it was like a week or two ago or something, just a week ago. Uh, it might have been early. Anyways, we just like gapped over two of them on Thursday.
I think what's actually really important here is that all three of us said down and we went down. And that may have ruined the bulls that were left in the pickle jar that bet heavy against us.
I see. Yeah, the contrarian traders
And to that I say, get fucked.
skill issue.
Skill issue.
Well, last week was it was super boring in the beginning of the week, and then it just really got fun
Yeah, I mean, we
towards the
basically
end.
just
All really
like
went well.
gapped up Monday and then kept bouncing back into that gap up and then just failed.
Yeah, yeah, it was interesting. Yeah, Bulls didn't have a lot of spunk.
No, I mean, and from a technical perspective, this is not good. Actually, we have fallen to levels that are in fact a little bearish. We still don't have like a good confirmation of a correction yet, though. We're still just
Yeah,
like
what
slightly short of that 300 bips.
it was like
Um,
5660 or something like that.
yeah, 5669 is a really important level because it was god damn, none of my charts are loading for some reason. I think I updated my NVIDIA drivers and it fucked everything. Yeah,
Oh yeah, I got fucked over on TradingView too after I did that. So it was
5669's like a pretty important level from like back in like September, early October. It was also like resistance back in like August, June. So that's given that it was the high of the earlier part of the year and then support of the more recent part of the year. There's a lot of like positioning that came in pre-August correction and post-August correction that would likely not want to be underwater. And so, yeah, I still think a loss of 5669 is really important. But from an options perspective, there's not a ton of liquidity down there yet. So I think it may be a little while before we push through it. Or, you know,
yeah,
because of all the vol this week, we just dump. But that's going to be hard to predict. I mean, I don't know how much we're going to see event vol rise into the election, but it could be crazy. I'm definitely straddling the election though.
I don't know. It's gonna be the mother of all vol crush.
Don't use that Trump clip when I have my headset on. That's too close. Poor Jed.
Uh,
Yeah, so I know you want to say bear steepener, and we should really talk about the liquidity requirements of money market funds and how, given that they have, you know, 4 point or 5.2 trillion, 5.6 trillion now in assets under management, how is it that they appear to be so illiquid, Dork?
I had not good enough sleep for that question, Girk. But I mean, when you think about it, right? It's almost like our government is issuing debt in the short end a little ham-fistedly.
Mm. You mean all of it? All of the debt in the short end?
I'm trying to
Trillions
be
of
nice here,
dollars a
Girk.
year? Yeah.
I'm trying to be nice, all right? But yes, yeah, it's
Yeah.
absolutely silly. And this is pretty much the basis for why, since, forever ago, like I think my beginning of the year and my New Year's prediction, part of it was rates will rise regardless of Fed policy. And then Fed cut and rates went up on the long end at least. But this was kind of the basis for it, right? Was that if the government keeps uh, if the government keeps issuing debt in the short end, you're basically going to end up with this situation where the long end of the treasury market is just going to sit there, right? And the money's going to go in a circle essentially and get the little piddly dribbles into it that it gets from the treasury.
What factor do you think would cause them not to? What factor do you think is causing them not to pick up liquidity in repo agreements?
Well, I think that liquidity is going somewhere. "Quote unquote" liquidity, sorry.
Now, where would that go?
Well,
What costs a lot of money to hold as it goes deeper underwater? Hmm,
the first thing is a short position. That has infinite losses, Kirk.
it does. And then What about your losses on your marginable securities?
Well, you see, Girk, the thing is as your losses mount and your marginable securities, the moment
Fall.
they exceed your assets under management, you get this thing called a margin call.
Hmm. So it's almost like, sir, we will never mark to market. You don't think?
Hey, Mr. Poopy Pants, you know that big giant bank losses bar chart that everyone's going nuts about now, and they were going nuts about earlier too?
It's illegal. I mean, the Fed will scoop it up rather than let it get marked to market. I agree with that.
There's a lot of securities held available for sale. That's all I'm going to say.
Mm, so many.
It's a lot. I mean, everyone talks about the hold to maturity stuff, but
Can't
it's
hold
not
it to
just hold to
maturity if
maturity.
you're getting margin called on it.
That's definitely a big thing. But yeah, this I think that the RRP is it's being used. Like it's not like this money's just going like under these banks' mattresses and stuff. It's obviously going somewhere, right? And if we just look at what's happening in the treasury market, which is where you would expect something like this to go, you see the long end rising, right? And you see the short end falling. I don't know what that tells you, but I can let you guys do the math, right? When the short end's falling, that means there's more demand for that. When the long end's rising, it means there's less. Not necessarily, but it just means that's where
So I want
the
to
dollars
I
are
want to I want to
rising
put
to.
this in terms that people can understand. And I'm not a bond guy. Otherwise I could probably do this a lot more simply. But basically, you have banks and they are sitting on hold to maturity securities with very low yields, right?
And very long, they have long durations too.
Yeah, these are long duration, low yields. I mean, some of these are as low as like 0.8% to 2% roughly. And so, as yields continue to rise, the value of these hold to maturity securities declines. And so, to offset the cost of holding these over the last couple of years, they've leveraged them up, right? They leverage them up, and we know they use, the USD JPY carry is a really good for this, right? Because the yield on these securities is significantly higher than, Japan's fund rate, right? Which is, 0.25. Um, and so for the time being, they've been able to leverage that spread and keep from going under. And that spread has narrowed. It used to be negative like 0.1%. And now it's 0.25, so now it's positive, and it's not like there was a brief period there where it was between 0 and zero point 0.1 or 0 and 0.15, but it was still effectively zero because they shorted the Japanese bonds. However, as yields in the U.S. on the high end continue to rise, the value of these securities declines. Value declines. And since these are leveraged up, the total amount of available leverage declines at a ratio consistent with how much it's leveraged up. So if they
Yeah,
leverage up 8x, then the available margin is declining by 800%. And so, what they do to offset this in the short term, while they wait for yields to turn around, is they attempt to affect their own version of YCC. And they try to short the short paper, which means they're going short near term debt instruments. And they're going to do that at a ratio consistent with the decline in their margin, right? So they're going to go 8x short paper, or 8.1x, right? And try to maintain a positive yield against their available margin. Now, if this starts to get squeezed, um, and their liquidity is not sufficient to bear the cost of a rise in the value of short-term debt instruments, then they get margin calls on their long-term debt instruments. Because and what we have right now is we have, the value of short-term instruments rising and the value of long-term instruments declining, but the leverage ratios are not consistently equal across the trade.
It's almost like borrow short, lend long has been replaced with lend short, borrow long.
Yeah, it has been a
It
lot.
is It is interesting. That was a good illustration, and that pretty much explains it, right?
Yeah.
And that's where this RRP is sort of going, is maintaining these positions, among
Yeah,
other
and
things.
and what should be happening in a healthy environment, if they were not short the short-term instruments, then RRP would be rising, right? More money would be flowing into RRP to improve liquidity conditions. Liquidity conditions would not be getting worse. I mean, RRP fell this last week 31%.
Yeah.
And there's no liquidity sink, right? The BTFP is closed, right? So the BTFP is only draining
What was
until
that?
next March.
There was another. What was it? FHLB. Was that the? I think they could still do some shady shit with FHLB, but yeah, like it was, I think it was that one, or it was one of them. But I'm pretty sure it's FHLB advances. Like there's shady ways to get, your margin back sort of
Yeah,
under control and get
but
liquidity.
those are
But
falling over the last year. I mean, they only report those once a year, but they have fallen since Jan of 2022.
yeah, but there's so what we're kind of talking about is that, yeah, the proverbial mattress, right, or piggy bank, which is RRP, right, and which was BTFP, is starting to kind of drain out. And it's interesting. They decided not to continue the BTFP as well, which I think that is also partially responsible for what we're seeing in RRP. But yeah, no, it's all very interesting. The market is definitely getting to the point where people are actually starting to get careful about where they put their money. In the stock market, not so much, but that's just because the stock market is run by a giant gaggle of morons. Uh, but in terms of the bond market, yeah, people are being careful with the large amounts of money that they're trying to basically have not do anything, which is hard to do with that much money.
Yeah, well, nigh impossible, right? Unless Treasury steps in and provides liquidity, substantial liquidity.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if the Treasury has to come in and provide liquidity for the debt markets, what happens to U.S. debt ratings?
I don't know about the ratings, but I do know that the risk
It's an
profile of
effective
the US
default.
should expand. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's a default on our debt, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty
So,
much. Well,
so I mean, ratings agencies should downgrade on a default.
they still got that old lady with the crazy glasses working at Fitch. They're not going to downgrade.
Shit, that bitch from the movie.
Yeah, exactly. You know the one.
Yeah,
It's the same lady that's in Deadpool.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely sort of heading for the path that I was hoping we wouldn't really head down, right? I was hoping at some point, there would be a conversation about our deficit spending. But
Well, I think
um,
with the Fed decision this week, we need to talk about what the Fed's options are because they must be aware of this, right? There's no way they're not aware that banks are facing a liquidity crunch in short paper. And so what their
they're just
knee
gonna
jerk
cut like crazy, dude.
well we know they're stupid as fuck, right? So
Yeah.
their route to fixing this will be likely, oh, let's just cut more. How dovish can we be, and how much can we convince the bond market that our dovishness matters? And the only way to do that is by cutting. However, cutting is going to squeeze the short paper dork, the
Well,
short
yeah,
paper, right?
yeah.
Um, which will blow everything up. And so, if you want to know one of the reasons things tend to blow up when the Fed emergency rate cuts a bunch, this trade is a big proponent of that.
Well, especially with how long the yield curve has remained inverted, right? There's been a lot of time for this sort of activity to persist and
Yeah,
to
and over
accumulate.
leverage. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, and like the funny part is like if the Fed continues to cut, right? I mean, the last jobs report was interesting. I guess if you include the hurricanes and the Boeing things, it wasn't awful. Unemployment didn't continue up in any appreciable manner. I find it interesting if they just continue to cut, right?
Yeah. I
Like our
think,
economy is still like just red hot. Like, and the only thing that's not being red hot is inflation. But
well,
according
that's
to
just
Jay
because,
Fresh, it is.
yeah, inflation actually is red hot. It's just that we're not reporting the part, like currently, we're seasonally adjusting away the parts of inflation that matter, like the parts that are red hot. And so, yeah, I mean, he's not wrong. I mean, look, GDP is 3.4% in the prior quarter, right? And the Fed's like long-term sustainable rate of growth, a non-inflationary rate of growth is at like 2.2. So
Yeah.
we're well above that. And yeah, the NFP report was a big nothing, right? You had an extra 100,000 jobs on ADP, you had minus 100,000 jobs on NFP. And they stated in the report itself that they have no idea how to factor in the effect of the hurricane and stuff. So it was just basically a big wash. I don't think labor's been damaged appreciably. I think the Fed should be fairly well aware of that, right? So yeah, I think there's no good reason for the Fed to cut. Besides, banks could be in trouble really, really quickly if they don't. Like if the Fed pauses here, just the just the I mean, we've priced in a little bit. Like over the last couple of days, we've priced in like Fed Fund Futures is priced out almost a full cut by June of next year. Which does give a little bit of padding for the Fed to say, "Oh, we're not cutting. We're gonna wait till like the December meeting, right?" However, um, as like equity values are still pricing in that near term, like that 50 points more by the end of 2024. Even though Fed Fund futures have dropped half of that, equities are still pricing in the full 50 points.
Equities are pricing in a whole lot of everything.
Yeah.
I
So I
mean,
think
you
I
could say
think
the
I
price
think
coming down for a
equities
while.
equities are the first thing that could get damaged. But I also think we've been seeing a lot of profit taking across the board. I mean, like every NQ spike sold off hard as fuck over the last couple of weeks. Every chance it even came close to all time highs, it just immediately dumped. Um, we've been seeing like profit taking behavior in the S&P as well. Um, Oil risk premiums are a problem, right? They're pushing up on volatility. We've got all this event risk with the election and FOMC, which is making it really hard to lever up the short puts sufficiently to stabilize the market. And so I think if If Powell doesn't cut, rates are going to move substantially higher, and maybe to a point where they can't rein them in. Um, and equities are probably going to drop pretty hard because that kind of takes away the. I mean, how do you explain the soft landing if we're not going to keep cutting?
I mean, at this point, right, we're still in the like where's the landing? Is it in the room with us right now?
No,
No, it's not.
the airplane is over the Pacific and has no fuel.
Yeah, we're just fucking we're it's silly. And I don't the thing is though is I don't really I don't think that the Fed cut is necessarily the big kicker of this whole dog and pony show. Fed could cut, Fed could not cut this meeting. I think this meeting is it's relatively unimportant. I think that the bigger thing is the TGA, right? And how
Hmm.
that's going to get funded.
Well, we already know they did the QRA last week.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, Yellen's continuing to attempt yield curve control,
Right. And
but it's
so
not
when you
working
think,
anymore.
well, just but let's just game it out. I mean,
Okay, so
think
she
about
continues to issue short dated bills,
right.
which
It
is going
has,
to continue to push down on the available liquidity
but yeah,
in the
think about all
short
these
end.
banks. Think about all these banks trying to drum up the funds to do this. Where's that money going to come from? Right. That's the
Yeah,
big thing. I mean, once RRP is drained, what's left?
nothing. And
More debt
I
by the
mean,
banks? Carry trade?
reserves. They start hitting their reserves, which are already insufficient for Basel III.
Yeah, no, they I think they legally can't, right? Because of Basel III.
I mean, they can because it's not implemented yet, but they would then fail the check in the future. I mean, they don't even have enough in there now for it, right? Like they're just fighting tooth and nail to try to get the requirements dropped to the level at which they have sufficient reserves.
Well, so now let's factor in the economic outlook, right? We got GDP at 3.2%, right? Inflation moderated right now, but like you said, there's probably some weird stuff going on there.
Yeah.
So if you're a bank, right, and you're having to fund all this short-term debt by the government, and you see inflationary economic outlook on the horizon, right? A second wave of inflation. Let's
Mm-hmm.
just say it's oil, right? Let's say, the regional conflict expands in the Middle East and it starts involving superpowers, right? Like China or Russia or us
Yeah.
in a direct way. Then now as a bank, right? You're like what you're willing to accept for even short-term debt is way different in that world than it is in this one where we're just kind of watching everybody. We're like the kid taking the dab in the background of the two other kids fighting, right? As soon as that changes, that whole gentleman's agreement they got between the reserve and banks is going to start getting contentious, and we'll probably start seeing bigger tails in the short end as Yellen does dump all that debt into the short end, which I think we just both agree that that's going to be her modus operandi. So that's where my mind is at with this. I mean, it's not like once again these crash tomorrow obviously is not what I am saying, but uh, what I am saying is that there are risks, and we are not currently very well positioned to mitigate them. Sure, we got Permian Basin drilling, right? Biden went from full green to drill baby drill,
Yeah.
uh, which yeah, it's helping,
Mm-hmm.
but
But it's not
that
expanding fast enough, right? Like we're outputting a lot in the short term, but in the long term it'll require significant investment to continue the expansion and
right.
meet just our demand, which is high.
And here's the thing, Girk, too, is if global demand for oil goes up and people are paying more for oil outside the US, what do you think oil companies are gonna fucking do?
Sell oil outside the
they're gonna
U.S.
export that shit. Yeah,
Yeah.
and because of that, right? That's naturally going to bring prices up in the U.S. That's just how all that works.
Demand
So
for oil won't go up. The world is in a recession unless the world goes to war, Mr. Poopy Pants.
that's what I'm saying. I did. Did you notice how I didn't mention anything about economic growth being the thing that increases oil demand?
If Dirk says oil demand again, I'm going to go long China. You're not going to go long China if we go to war with them. Well, you can, but you'll lose all your money.
He won't lose it. It'll just be locked up for the next 10 years.
20.
Oil demand. There. Have fun.
North Korea and Russia. No one cares about North Korea. The fucking country is the size of New Jersey. Solve the debt crisis.
I don't think we
Ha.
can at this point.
I mean, we could. We could destroy our currency.
That's the only way.
Yeah.
It's not pretty. It's not pretty how you like quote unquote fix this magically. With the magic wand is like the Thanos snap.
I mean, okay, but if we do that, we still win in the long term.
You said doo doo.
I know.
I mean,
Oh,
yeah,
well,
yeah.
maybe we should also point out to people that the reserves, since we talked about how these banks are, short the short end and prop up the carry on the long end. The long end is their cash reserves, their marginable securities. Let's talk about how these reserves don't actually exist. So these reserves, these $3.23 trillion that depository institutions have on reserve at the Fed, that's the shit that's getting blown up. So imagine a margin call on this just wipes out this balance, and we go down to like 750 billion in reserves. They exist just fractionally. Well, that's very scenario dependent, right? See, this is what scares me, Dork. Is I don't think these reserves are actually there in the event that things have to be marked to market. Like they don't actually exist.
Well, even if they did,
Yeah, well, they would be destroyed.
but you can't. You have banks realizing enormous losses.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I figured that was just the default where the banks just lose a fuck ton of money.
So we're gonna have to print more money.
Well, to unlose the banks all that money that they lost.
Yeah. Well, because that's our money. All the bank's money is our money. So they're gonna lose all our money if that happens.
You're right.
Yeah. Let's do some TA on reserves, Dirk. It's time to test the
Uh,
trend.
are you making a megaphone?
God, it's bearish as fuck.
Yeah. This the If you follow the scenario out to its completion, right? Yeah, the only reasonable outcome where we don't end up, like Zimbabwe, is with some sort of debt destruction.
We would need debt destruction, not only debt destruction, but we need to then regulate the fuck out of investment banks. Like cripple their ability to invest outside of low yield returns.
I mean, it's very surprising to me that they're allowed to do that, like to invest outside of things like debt securities.
Well, okay, so Clinton pulled back the stops with the destruction of Glass-Steagall, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then Trump, and so then we got 2000 and we got 2008. And then Trump killed Dodd-Frank, and so we got 2020, 2022, and then whatever's going to come next.
That's going to be the dissolution of the SEC. Gary
Why?
Gensler's
Because
going to be working at
we can't
McDonald's.
afford to fund them.
Yeah, Elon Musk is going to cut funds to the SEC to the point where it might actually literally just be Gary Gensler at a laptop in McDonald's as part-time SEC
God, porn
everything.
on and Pornhub Basic.
Exactly. Yeah, he's going to have to use free Pornhub. His life's going to be terrible.
Imagine
I know, right?
what a terrible life. Even at Gamma Strike, we have premium Pornhub.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, maybe we
Hurrah.
could get all the former SEC agents out of the revolving door.
Ooh, that's true. Do some regulatory capture of our own.
We could get a guy that can program in COBOL.
Perfect. That's exactly what we need.
Their head dev. Yep.
Yeah, we need a COBOL developer. That is
I
precisely.
like what you guys are saying. Should be bearish, but all I keep hearing is inflationary melt up. The inflationary melt up would definitely be after everything tanks, though, right? And that really depends on how the situation is handled afterwards. But the idea that on RRP is down to 155 billion and the buck could break, and if it does, the the fractional reserves of our banking institutions could completely collapse is not bullish. I mean, that goes beyond the scope of like, hey, let's trade this thing to like, holy fuck, I hope I have enough water.
I mean, yeah, this is when I was with like joking around with poopy pants and I said Dixie down, SPX down, right? That's what this is what I'm talking about.
I also
It's not
keep
a good look.
hearing inflationary melt up like the last 3 years. Yeah, and the consumer has absorbed all of that to the point where I mean we really can't absorb much more. You know, the last little bit of inflation crippled consumer expectations really fast, right? Like back in Jan when we started to see the shipping costs rising due to the Red Sea conflict, that passed forward. Producers then tried to pass that hike in costs forward onto the consumer, and the consumer just started to collapse right away. And so, we saw everything start to pull back. All of a sudden, things at grocery stores went on sale again. Bitcoin doesn't solve any of this. Regards, Kiki. I hate to tell you, but it's actually just worthless, made up monopoly money that hedge funds trade as a leveraged dollar, and that's the only reason it has any value.
Whoa, Girk! Wow, way to just go straight for the jugular in one sentence.
Sorry, I'm so tired of hearing about Bitcoin.
I know that's it. It feels like Bitcoin will solve something like this, but the problem is that even if Bitcoin, let's just say Bitcoin was the dollar, okay? They're both fake monopoly money dollar reduce, right? Call them
Yeah,
simoleons.
sure.
Who gives a shit what they are, okay? The thing is, the big problem is what that simoleon represents, right? That's the big issue. So it doesn't matter what price Bitcoin is at, right? At some point, you want to take a hamburger and put it in your mouth, right? That's the big issue is what if it takes 10 billion Bitcoin to put a burger in your mouth, right? It doesn't matter if it's $100,000 for a Bitcoin. It's still in your mind and, utilitarily, it's worthless.
Yeah.
Like it's not like in this mutual promise thing between everybody just means that they're all going to be sitting there with Bitcoin while the value of everything they, know and love skyrockets, all the stuff that you like, consume once. The value of all this stuff's going to skyrocket. You're not going to be able to afford it. It doesn't matter if it's in Bitcoin or something else. Like and that's why it scares Girk. We're talking about the actual utilitarian value of our currency dropping materially.
Yeah.
That's a scary prospect for people who manage assets or anything really. It's the one thing you don't want to
It's
have
a
happen.
problem for anybody who needs to use money.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
it's not just people with more money. Like yeah, okay, I would get impacted more than someone with less money, right? But it impacts everyone across the board. It's equilateral in its destruction of the value of assets, and then the cost of things is going to increase because those are going to stay relative to their cost to produce, right? So and the cost to produce is going to go up because the dollar is down. It's I mean it all works together, but it's what
I said burger. Did I say hamburger?
you just said burger.
Whatever burger you like to put in your mouth. And that's why I made that analogy though, Girk, was like it's one of those things that like yes, we could talk about different forms of money all day long, and it's great to think about the euro dollar, right, or the dollar that's like universal to everywhere, and it makes world peace, yay! But uh, the fact of the matter is, at some point, you have to feed your face with that. It's not
You
a
know what
stock.
would be the ultimate big dick move is if we just destroy our currency and then force the rest of the world to eat our new currency as the standard.
I mean, there's been a lot of people who have made videos on like a central bank digital currency and all that stuff, which would be a de facto form of wealth or debt destruction.
Yeah.
And but they get all kinds of wild about it
Like
being
yeah, but I mean like
illegal or
the
stuff.
only
But
problem like destroying the dollar is a great idea to get rid of all of our massive pile of debt, right? But the only
yeah,
problem is how do you make the CBDC the new world reserve currency? Like
but
we're gonna have to
how do you,
bomb people to get that.
well, how do you, and also how do you get that value back into the CBDC? Really, right? Like,
I mean,
how is
you
there any
don't
guarantee it's going to be worth as much?
you don't care, right? Well, I mean, you could crush the crypto market. I would imagine that would be the first step, right? Is you just destroy people's access to the crypto markets, um, and then yeah, you still got to go to war with somebody. We're gonna have to. I mean, yeah, we're gonna have to back it with the debt of failed states, likely ones that we would have to destroy.
So wait, do we invade Taiwan?
I don't. Could taking out China do it?
No, no,
Like
we just invade Taiwan.
full scale war with China? Only if we
No,
win. It only
just
works if we.
Taiwan.
Well, okay, yeah, but that's the same thing.
I don't know. I don't know if China would stop us. They probably would.
Yeah. Well, they would try. I mean, they're not capable of. They do have a lot of warheads.
That's true. But so do we.
You guys being this bearish, we're seeing 6,000 this week, probably.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. How many times have I said I'm not saying crash tomorrow this stream?
Yeah, we didn't say crash tomorrow. This
I
is
actually explicitly
this is
did
like
not say that.
this is like what happens in the long run, right? And have we been let me ask you this. Have we been wrong about what happens in the long run macroeconomically so far? No.
I think my inflation outlook was a little too
Stop
high,
it.
but other than that, yeah, we were spot on with the economy staying hot.
Not Carvana popcorn trader, which I was also right about.
Hey, Poopy, what did TLT do after it went to 100?
Poopy tried to go long TLT the other day, and I shorted it, and I made money.
His job requires him to be like almost like
He just
I
has
don't want to
the
say it. I don't want to
Midwest
insult you.
mindset that everything will be okay because things have been okay before.
Yeah, no, that was.
Like Don
I wanted to
Duck.
say yeah, that's it. I was going to say he's the Don Duck of the bond market.
That's mean.
I thought exactly. That's why I didn't. But then you forced my hand.
We're hurt, guys. Everything will be okay in the Midwest. Why? Because everyone will forget it's there. Yeah, but I didn't get what you meant until now. Oh. I mean, it's not. I'm not the one doing this shit. It's not like I'm sitting down every day with JPow and fleshing out the next plan for how to fuck the American public even harder.
Yeah, we're not in the room where it happens.
Yeah, we're just pointing out that it's happening.
It's fun counting the ways in which the poors get fucked.
Name one time the U.S. has had a financial crisis. I mean, he's not wrong. We've just burdened ourselves with more debt and then inflated it away to make it not a problem. But you can only do that so much.
Yeah, pretty much.
And we've kind of hit the capacity for doing that.
I mean, yeah, it's just weird. I don't know. We're hitting some weird inflection point. I've said that a few times in the past.
Remember when '08 happened and
Still doing
Midwest
it.
homes dropped 10%? That's because they'd only risen 10% in the prior 20 years.
Yeah, they had they had only risen 10% in one of the largest, if not the largest, housing bubble in modern history in
Yeah,
the
I
U.S.
mean, if you look at the coasts where people actually wanted to live, and house prices went up 100% and then down 120. The Fed can't run out of money, Girk. It's like you weren't listening. Well, they can if there's no reserves, because they have nothing to back the money they print. What's up, Nuke?
The Nuke's got stuff.
He's got a goodie?
Yeah,
What's
he's
he
got
cook?
some stuff.
What's he cooking up?
I don't know. Looks
Ooh.
like some stuff. It's very shiny. Boing, boing,
Wait, is that a new background color? Oh shit, it is. That's sexy.
boing. Yeah, looks
Oh,
good.
fuck yes. Guys, we changed the background color so it doesn't look like dog shit anymore.
Woo.
Oh my god, everything's so much more visible.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Cause there is no cock like horse cock. Send your asshole in.
You know, maybe that's why JFresh stopped coming to these, is because we used the soundboard.
I saw the last item on the menu. But I'm not going to show anyone that.
Yeah, we don't. I don't know why you didn't just DM him that picture, Nuke. I had to see that, and I kind of can't unsee that. And I'm having a lot of confidence issues now, so.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
As a non-beta member, I don't know what changed since I don't see it daily. So we had a background color on the website that was somehow capable of muting all contrast from all other colors, and we've removed it. Although I feel like it could be a bit darker, but I don't want to say anything negative until Nuke goes away. And then I'll
Hey,
say,
the engineering department will not take any criticism at this time.
God damn it. Colonel ate so many blueberries, it looks like a Tinky Winky got shot in my dining room. What's the weakest regional bank? I want another CSP play. Didn't I post the... I posted the Goldman list of, like, the shittiest banks
Oh, wait, no.
not that long
Wait,
ago.
no. If Poopy wants to short the regional banks, you know what long the regional banks, you know what he should do is he should sell CSPs on Carvana.
Oh, same like.
Yeah, it's a leveraged regional bank ETF, right?
Charter Bank.
Yeah.
They're more of like a gross... The economy could run like Wile E. Coyote off a cliff for a solid few years before looking down. It's been a few years.
So crash tomorrow?
No. Not crash tomorrow. I don't think. Well, I
I don't
hope
think
not.
so either.
Yeah.
Wasn't OPEX.
Yeah, it's not OPEX. Can't crash tomorrow.
No.
Yeah. Don't have to worry about it, right?
Pretty much. Boo and chill. Let's go.
Yeah, we found some support. And some of the negative gamma fell off on Friday.
Yeah.
So maybe we get a little bouncy bounce.
A little something, a little mean reversion.
Squeeze off some of that in the money delta. Probably not. We probably keep falling to like 56.69, and then maybe we find some support.
Let me do something really quick. I'm going to do this.
We don't have a JFresh prediction this week. What are we gonna do?
I mean, I can probably. Actually, I don't know. We're not above DN and GN anymore.
No, we're not.
I can't just be super duper bullish like he would be.
Yeah, your 40 points to the upside this week is not looking as strong.
No, it's not. That's definitely going into consideration for my next prediction as well.
What has JFresh been tweeting about? Because I know he's listening to us right now. We just have to touch on a subject that's going to get him interested enough to come in here.
Ooh. Well, I'm wondering if he's winterized his pool yet, but I was going to ask him, but since he's not in here, I can't.
They don't have winter in Texas. That's just hot or less hot.
No, they had a big freeze, didn't they, like recently?
That's like one day, though.
Yeah, so you got to winterize your. Well, 'cause, I mean, it only takes one day of freezing temperatures to burst a pipe.
Just do bullish Gurk. Alright, fine. Alright, Dork, you're first, because...
Oh, because I won?
Because you won.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to make sure that was specifically stated as to why I'm going first for this week. Okay.
Alright, listen, it was 10 points. Alright? Or 2 points. It was a
I'll
2-point spread.
I'll take the nose, okay? I won by a nose, and I will take it all.
Alright.
Okay, so you know what? I'll do like multiple data points this week as well, because it's getting kind of fun. Okay. Let's just say open flat, because who cares? And then up to 57.80 by Wednesday. Like end of day Wednesday.
Ooh. Okay.
Oh man, this is gonna be really interesting now. Then we go down to this is a very good question now. 5650 close Friday.
Damn.
You probably see what I'm doing here.
I do a little, yeah. I don't disagree with you, except maybe on the timeline. I think maybe mine would be more like we still bleed off a little tomorrow. And then yeah, more vol, right? So and then the difference with Bulgaric would just be, since we don't have JFresh, I'll do Bulgaric. That's you. Okay. And then Bulgaric would just be like this. Oh, wait, that's the wrong line.
That's pretty much it.
How do I make the green more bullish? Blue.
I don't know. Make the other one. I don't know. Looks like a decent quant dot plot.
Yeah.
It's only 2 dots in the plot, and then I guess 2.5. All right, let me immortalize this.
Draw a line to 6,000 and say it's JFresh. When do I get to start doing predictions? You want to do one, Nick?
I'm actually interested to hear Nuke's prediction.
Yeah.
He's an interesting guy.
I want to hear Nuke's voice. Baby steps. Baby steps,
Yeah,
baby pants.
it's pretty sultry. I don't know if we could release that voice to the public. I guess he doesn't have a prediction.
I guess not. Is he gooning us?
He's
Edging.
probably gooning.
He's edging us while he's gooning. Yeah. That's
Nah.
how he goons. Is he a baby whale or a missile? Both. He's edging us.
He typed that, then he ripped off his headphones and walked away.
Is blue Bulgaric? Yeah.
I'll put the hint in the dot plot in the chat.
Oh, you already
I
did
don't know.
it?
Is there any data next week?
Yeah. CPI,
Some
I think,
auctions. Auctions, ISM.
right? ISMs are big. They're services. Oh, yeah, ISM
Oh, yeah.
services.
And
German
then-
balance of trade again, which scares everybody. FOMC, Michigan consumer. It's the preliminary, so it's kind of important, but I don't think it's going to be down. Germany
Is
economy imploding. No, it's been doing, the reports have been good out of the EU for the last week or so. IWM opens at 2:30 on Wednesday. Yeah, that'd be cool. I'm long IWM right now.
there's a 6-month and a 10-year auction in Japan
No one gives a
on
shit
Wednesday
about
night.
that.
Okay.
Everyone's just 100% confident that Japan's not going to do anything, which would be the perfect time to strike. But they don't want to. It could be their Pearl Harbor. Part 2. Yuta just comes out and goes, rates at 1%.
Skill issue.
The yen goes to par with the dollar. Japan becomes the richest it's been since 1980. Overnight. Yuta would never. Why? I would.
I mean, the U.S. and Japan are kind of joined at the hip.
Yuan implodes. Yeah. China won't be able to fill their tankers or their aircraft carriers. They won't even be able to get to Japan.
It's funny how that works.
Alas, yeah, I know. All right, yeah, this looks good.
Yeah, I mean, the market went down a bit. That was cool. Like you said, though, there's no confirmation. I think we both predicted the confirmation. But there's a chance that this thing just recovers, you know. If ISM is good, I'd imagine it would recover. But I mean, a good ISM, like ISM services cooling, that would be the good thing, right? Because that's been the big thorn in the inflation side, has been services this whole time. So
Yeah, well, services prices cooling. I mean, services prices is a pretty strong leading indicator of CPI. They're pretty highly correlated because of, well, only because of how we're weighting CPI, right?
yeah,
We also have like non-farm productivity, which is probably going to be important. That's Thursday, but it's before the FOMC meeting, so maybe it just won't matter at all.
yeah.
ISM prices have just been skyrocketing, though. They're expected to fall, but if they don't, oof. I can't wait till they re-seasonally adjust inflation again. They're like, oh, guys, whoops.
Yeah, we forgot to get rid of the volatile durable goods.
The discussions here are my favorite part of this community. Thanks, Arugris. I mean,
We're just kind of bullshitting today.
yeah. I mean, we don't want to like scare people or be like big doomers, but there's a lot of big problems with our economy, and we don't currently have any ready solutions to fix them, which makes them scarier than they should be. And
Yeah, I mean,
realistically, we never should have allowed ourselves to get into this position in the first place. And we have only done so through not a small amount of gross negligence and incompetence.
yeah, it's the financial system is just a little top heavy right now. By a little, I mean a lot.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
that's really what we're pointing out.
yeah. And as far as like the short paper, long carry issue goes, I mean, it's a mistake that banks have made in the past, and they appear to be making again. And I would be remiss in not highlighting it. So, yeah, I always struggle with that a little bit. I wonder, do I just focus on positioning and what's going on, or try to explain what's going on everywhere. Because, I mean, sure, yeah, in the near term, we can bounce, we can do all kinds of things. It has no real effect on equities markets immediately. Some of it does, but all of this stuff is generally shit that takes months and months and months to play out, which is, where Burry makes his mistake all the time and always being too early is the system is built to be resilient, and there are avenues that can open up liquidity on demand, and so the realization of these things can take far longer than one would expect when, especially when, we're pointing them out in their infancy before the damage is done.
Right, like it's not well like that's the thing. It's not like, we talk about like the 4 or 5 on 10 year, right? As like one of the big thresholds where things start getting fucked up. Even there, yields could go up. Like the 10 year go above 4 or 5. And it's not like the instant, yields hit 4.5, the entire world's gonna explode. That's not how it works.
Now hold on. 5-5 on the other hand.
Okay, if that happens over the course of a week, then yes, things might explode.
I think that's the only
But-
way we bridge the gap, right? Is that it has to happen very fast, because otherwise policy has time to react, liquidity provisions can be put into place. So it's a surge in rates at the long end that would really break this instantaneously.
It's really just a surge in risk.
And that's, yeah. Well, yeah, that'll be interesting with the election, because the election does present a possible catalyst for that. The economic policies of, and I don't think either part, I don't think whoever actually gets elected matters in that regard. I think rating agencies are scared of a continued Biden Harris economic plan with Yellen in charge. And I think literally everyone else should be afraid of Trump trying to remove income tax and replace it with tariffs.
The regressive tax of them all, raising prices on everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we are kind of hitting a weird point, right? And like, I don't know. I'm with you on that. I don't really think it matters that much in the long run. Neither party really has put forth a plan. Okay, so Elon Musk said he's going to remove $2 trillion from the deficit somehow. We all know that's a crock of shit.
Well,
the thing is
no, it's not. He's just gonna, like, after he becomes a cabinet member, Tesla's gonna go to $1,000 a share. He's gonna liquidate the company and just pay it off himself.
Okay, if he's willing to do that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think there's not, like, the thing is that attempts to reduce our deficit at this point, right? It's the deficit is, it's not like it's just like getting lit on fire. I mean, a lot of it is, but a lot of it's also not. Right. And when you start cutting spending in places, you're directly impacting the lives of people. And that's why no one wants to slow down deficit spending ever. It's political suicide.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like the thing, I think that America would rather have a stagflationary debt crisis than the recession that would ensue following a responsible spending package.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the problem, is that you're never, we talk about Volcker, right? And the reality of it is that there's nobody in politics today with the brass balls or career suicide intent that Volcker had. And I mean, that's partially like, just, that's largely a factor of just how politics work now. To assume that they could elect anybody to run the Fed and they would do what Volcker did is unlikely. So we just have a slew of Arthur Burns, and even if like Trump gets rid of JPOW, we're just gonna get somebody in there who tries to ensure that, you know, corporate spreads stay in a tight and positive range where they can continue to just leverage up debt.
Yeah.
Which JPOW has also done, right? So I mean, it's just we're not like JPOW's a Republican. Everyone acts like getting rid of him is going to somehow, you know, fix the economy, and that's been a big talking point. But it's not. I mean, his economic policies and the way he has managed the Fed so far have been highly conservative.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what people want to see is someone who's just destructive, and I don't think we're gonna get someone like that. I don't think that person exists.
No, not the type of person who would, run the Fed. Even like, and it all the people I've seen kind of marched around, like even like Ken Griffin for the Treasury and that kind of stuff. Like,
Kenny fucking hates the pores.
yeah, he really does.
I could see him doing it, but only because he would tangentially profit a lot.
Oh yeah. No, it's. I mean, it's. I think that it is sort of irrelevant, right? In the very big picture of things, right? This behavior was, enabled since like the '90s and really like the early 2000s. So this sort of fiscal stance, and even earlier, but this sort of fiscal stance really does transcend party lines.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
to assume that one of the parties that has, maintained this paradigm and one of those specific candidates has been in charge during said maintaining, if you think it's going to change because one party gets in office, no,
No.
that's not how that works. No, they keep playing the game, and that's just, and if we once again, if we take this to completion,
Here's how you
right?
never get elected to a position of the power in the United States. Hey guys, how about some austerity?
Yeah.
And that's what we need. We need a long period of austerity measures, strong ones that are damaging. We need to trim the spread in wealth. And we need to find an equilibrium there. And I mean the system itself will force that over time.
It will, right? But how do we want to get there is the real question, right? And
Yeah.
I know your pathway that you want to go on.
So what?
Your pathway to the austerity measures.
Yeah.
Yeah, you and your meal team 6, armed revolution.
I don't want an armed revolution of Meal Team 6. I think we just need to, like, I just think our government no longer serves the purpose that we need it to serve, and we need to change it. That doesn't have to be violent. It just usually is.
I'm gonna go with the unusual outcome and say that it'll happen via nonviolent measures, where at some
Oh, you mean
point,
the outcome that's never happened in the history of humanity?
well, the outcome that's I don't know how long versus a very
Century?
quick band-aid ripoff. Yeah, exactly. No, the way you're proposing to do it, Girk, would be absolutely disastrous for literally anybody who lives in the U.S. and can't leave.
Yeah. But then it would be better for whoever survives, right?
That'd be better for their kids. It'd be terrible for them.
Maybe.
Guaranteed. The most strife you've ever witnessed.
If we're not doing it for future generations, why are we doing it?
When have we ever done it for future generations, Kirk?
Never, because we don't care about them.
That's exactly right. That's why we're in this situation.
I blame Berkeley and Yellen. Yale?
Okay.
Has Dork never seen how power vacuums are filled? Quickly and irresponsibly.
Yeah, quickly with figureheads that are put in place by foreign influences and powers.
Usually, yeah.
Little G wagon, no, just chill out, okay? We were just joking. Girk jokes about this shit, but there's an orderly exit to this, okay? There's there's a way to get out of this without it ended up being, being robbed at gunpoint at the grocery store and dumb shit like that. No,
But that happens now.
no, shut up.
It
Stop saying
does.
crash tomorrow, Girk.
I'm not saying crash tomorrow. If you get robbed at your grocery store, Dork, that's not going to crash the market. How much money's in your wallet?
If I would honestly be like, you're really risking a lot for not very much, my friend.
Tell Dork to calm down. I was just leading into a cream pie joke. God damn it. I think Poopy Pants has been having too much sex and it's killing his brain cells.
Or not enough, and he's turning into a degenerate.
Maybe.
Yeah, no, there's, and what we're predicting is also not a foregone conclusion.
Poopy
Right,
strikes me
it's
as
just
the kind of guy who. Hold on. Poopy. Because Poopy strikes me as the kind of guy that would get a vasectomy and be like, let's try to get pregnant, honey.
He would just say that. Oh, but yeah, there's a way out of this. It's just not these candidates. That's for sure. So we gotta hope that, we can manage 4 more years of this, I guess. And then at some point, someone shows up who says we got to get our shit under control because
I don't think
even
we have
Citizens
4
United
years.
understands that it's inevitable.
I don't think we have 4 years.
I don't know.
The rate risk is too high already.
It really is for this level of spending.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's gonna start getting wonky, and you're gonna start hearing it in the debt ceiling negotiations they're gonna have. How often are those, like, quarterly, biannually, semi-annually? How often are we raising the debt ceiling these days? Daily, weekly?
Yeah, there's no cap on it anymore.
Oh, that's right. They removed the debt ceiling.
Yeah, there's no ceiling. It's nothing but blue
Yeah.
skies and hopeful dreams.
Oh yeah, and fuck it, race to the moon. Let's do this. Let's
Yeah.
go. Let's fucking go. Let's see you, Yellen.
No cap for real, oh god.
God damn it, Poopy.
Oh, well played. Well played. Yeah.
I'm just imagining a dude in his, like, I don't know, mid-40s. He's got like a bozo ring, but he has worked really hard on getting it into that broccoli style haircut.
I removed my debt ceiling too. Well done, Kiki. I mean, I think the thing to take away from these is that as traders, most of the shit doesn't matter. You just care if the market's going up or down the next day, and we do try to cover that, or at least I do in Pickle Picks. But I mean, if you're buying a home or making a large purchase or considering financing something, then this kind of stuff, might matter a little more.
Or if you have a 60-40 port.
Like when everybody was trying to buy cars back in 2022, and I was like, wait 2 years, and now you can finance them at 0% because dealer inventories are overloaded, right? So I mean, it's stuff like that where you don't want to be one of the people paying $1,200 a month for a fucking car, like a piece of shit car, when you could be paying $500 a month for a nice car 2 years later, right? Sometimes it's worth it to wait it out.
I mean, even if you're on like a 60-40,
or being like Dork
investment
and buying a $500,000 house $100,000 above its fair market value for 5% interest. These are the kind of things that we seek to help you guys avoid.
Listen, Gert, listen. All right, I married the home and I'm dating the mortgage. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, if it doesn't depreciate by more than 30%,
You better find a credit union to refinance you because G-subs aren't going to be able to for the next 10 years.
I was thinking about just going to the mop,
Oh, okay.
getting it from them.
Oh, me?
Yeah, it's gonna show up at your house.
I'll refinance you, dork.
I know you will. I think they'll take my fucking house.
Well, only if you don't pay.
It's true, huh? Oh, hey, if you want to refinance me down to a cool 0%, I'd be down.
I'm gonna need I'm gonna need us to take a look at some neutrals in that case.
Oh God.
Don't do it. He has 100% repo track record. Any chance of markets having low vol after a possible crash, them being hard to trade, etc. If the market were to crash in the next 6 months, volatility would likely remain elevated. The problem you run into following that kind of price action, at least in my experience, is that spreads start to get quite illiquid. Nobody wants to make the markets because the risk becomes substantial. And so, everyone thinks like, oh, we trade flat for 10 years. It's cool. I'll just go sell side. It's not like the risk in sell side doesn't get priced in.
Oh yeah. You have to take on so much risk for so little premium with spreads.
Yeah. But there are ways to trade it, and there will be ways to make money, and I will probably be here. Unless I make $1 billion on the hypothetical crash, in which case I'm gone.
Damn it. There go my Sundays.
No, we can still.
There come back my Sundays.
We can still hang out on Sundays. We just won't do those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, hang out like at I don't know Martha's Vineyard or something.
Yeah, you guys want me to make money, but not too much. That's the goal.
That's why I've been feeding you bad predictions every week.
But I don't listen to your predictions. That would only work if you had influence over me. So buy Fixie and gold. Yeah. I mean, I've been long gold all year. It's done great. I don't know how much more upside it's got left in it before we start seeing the dollar decline, but potentially it has a lot. If the U.S. were to do something like debt destruction in any form, then yeah, gold would absolutely rocket to like obscene levels. I know a commodities trader who's shorting gold, and he keeps getting margin called. He's been at it for a year. Yeah, I've been short the 20 and long gold for a while. I've been long gold all year. I've been short the 20 intermittently. He's 7 figures in. Jesus Christ.
Ouch.
Why stop at $1 billion when you can keep going until $1 trillion? Because then the path to me making to $1 trillion requires that I spend my time doing more profitable endeavors. Right. I've got to invest at a different scale.
He's got to actually do work.
Yeah, trading doesn't work at that point. I mean, I can still trade, but it's just like it'd be a joke if I had that much money. It's just a pointless endeavor.
No, yeah, you try to actually make any appreciable amount of money on that, your spreads, you're just going to destroy the liquidity of the market every time you enter a position.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, this guy's shorting $100 billion of puts.
As long as I get my fills to work, when the market goes down.
You're gonna be selling puts on literally the entire chain then if you want to get it all filled.
I can't say that at some point I wouldn't want to take 200 million and just buy some like out of the money puts and move the market myself. That must be that feeling of power must be just
So Girk, you want to know what that looks like? If you look at the 1 minute and you see
Very,
those
very
like gravestone
climactic.
dojis,
Yeah, I know.
what you're gonna make a 1 minute gravestone doji and that's it. And you're like, yeah. Now, if you did it with $1 billion, now you're not looking so much at an act like a shitty little candle.
I'm glad that
But
he's
you're also
shorting gold because it's helping.
yeah, thanks for being my future liquidity.
Yeah. Can you explain why the banks even wanted to short paper? They had to.
Yeah, it's not about want.
It's not want, it's a necessity. Yield has to come from somewhere to manage the cost to carry in the long end.
Yep.
They already are using all the long paper for leverage. Why do you think the stock market went up 30% in a year? They're leveraged to the absolute tits on their undervalued assets. Their hold to maturity losses have been leveraged to the tits. And now they're at risk of everything blowing up if they can't maintain the cost to carry on that leverage. That's the problem. Warren Buffett noises. Buffett's going to the ground, man. He's fucking selling everything. He's
Yeah,
sold
he is.
Apple, B of A, all his favorite investments. Just sitting on
Did he
big
sell
piles
his
of cash.
Did he sell his Japanese investments yet?
Of course not.
Nice.
I think he bought in harder. He also bought more Sirius XM.
Glad to know he's still on our side.
That was the only time I've ever beat Buffett to an investment.
Yeah, it's hard to do considering he was like
The
possibly the
most
oldest person in
informed
America
person on the planet. Like he's the most
and also the
informed
oldest.
asset. Yeah. But he is by far the most informed asset manager, I think, at this point. That
Oh
dude's
yeah.
got to just be drowning in inside info.
Oh yeah, when Warren Buffett calls you, you answer the phone. Doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah.
He's got so much clout in the investing industry. Like that's the thing. Like if he buys stock in your company, like
That'll
generally
be
speaking,
that'll be the day Buffett dies, is when he takes his 300 billion and buys this next dip.
oh yeah.
Then he can just walk away, right? Berkshire's taken care of for another 50 years.
It's not buy the fucking dip, it's buy that final dip.
Yeah. The ultimate dip, maybe.
Yes. No, if it's the ultimate dip, then Vu and Chill's gonna be sad for a while.
Yeah, but just a while.
And can we talk about something too? You know, everyone talks about how the boomers this, boomers that, boomers took all the money, right? Boomer,
Yeah.
boomer, boomer.
Yeah,
Where
people
does
make
that
a lot
money
of
go when the boomers croak?
to the government.
Well, okay, after some of it goes to the government, where's the rest of it go?
Well, it depends on if they have children or not.
Gen X, and then it goes to
Gen
millennials,
Z.
right?
Well, yeah.
Gen Z millennials, right? Yeah, whatever. So when we talk about things like wealth destruction and stuff like that, there is a trickle down aspect to that, and I guess it's more of like a snowball effect, right? All that wealth gets destroyed for boomers, sure, but that's also opportunity destroyed for Gen X and for millennials.
Not true. It's only opportunity destroyed for Gen X and millennials who have rich parents.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. It's opportunity opened for literally everyone else, which is by far the majority.
Well, but who are the Gen X and millennials who have, parents who will be able to bequeath something to them?
Who cares?
The vanishing middle class?
Dude, the middle class has been gone for a while.
That's still. I mean, I'm kind of there.
No, you're just poor.
I got my just the tip is in. Okay.
I don't think home
Okay,
ownership's the leap to middle class, especially not
No,
burdensome home ownership.
no, my yearly take home salary I think is it's just touching the threshold for to be considered middle class. just barely touching it with like just like an atom. It's exactly at it. If that moves up though, if that wage goes up, then I'm gonna start asking for more money.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'll be like, look, you guys are you guys have officially demoted me in the social hierarchy, and I demand some sort of reparation for that.
If you have a mortgage sub 3% and a home valued over 300K in the Midwest, you're Midwest middle class. Except that home is worth 150K.
Yeah, it sounds like you're more landlocked than
Yeah.
anything.
You're just in the Midwest.
What are you going to do with that? So you're going to sell a $300,000 home and then lever up another $300,000 to move somewhere that isn't the Midwest? I didn't think so. Yeah, you're going to live in flatland forever.
All right, Dork, you're on the other side of the Sierra Nevadas, all right?
I'm looking at my window right now and I can literally see them.
You live in a desert.
I do not. All right, this is an oasis.
It's a valley.
You're a valley.
It's a valley next to a desert.
It is but right up against the desert, but it is not the desert. I'm like an hour and a half drive away from like real desert.
That's not true.
It's just arid, okay?
All right.
There's plants growing here.
Sagebrush.
No, okay, yeah, there's sagebrush, but there's trees. I see trees. There's trees here.
Yeah, but only on. I don't know which way your house is facing, but only on your left or right. It's only on one side of you, Derek.
God damn it, you got me there.
Look, humans shouldn't live in deserts. Yeah.
To Vegas and Scottsdale and all of Arizona, actually.
All of Arizona. And most of California that also has no water.
That's true, yeah. I think the mega drought's officially over, though.
How on earth is 52K anything but struggling? You make 52K, but you live in Alabama.
Yeah.
All right, that's enough of this. This has been too depressing for too long. I need to hype myself back up so I can say bullish things about next week in Pickles Picks. And people think that me on the Discord and me in here are two different people.
Oh, we're gonna rip into the election. It's gonna be great. I mean, look, we both predicted it.
We did. All right.
And then we may rip after. All right.
Thanks for hopping on,
Derek.
Dork. I appreciate it, man. Guys, if you have any questions, I'll be around most of the rest of the day. Hit me up on the Discord, and I'll try to get to you if I can. Or if I missed any questions over the last week, because my notifications reset at one point, and there were DMs that I had that I didn't read. Anyway, yeah, and I'll have Pickles Picks out tonight. Everybody enjoy the rest of your weekend. Later.